This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to our virtual coalition coffee chat. This morning we have Joe DiCosimo, Director of Operations for Owego-Apalachin School District. Thanks, Joe, for being here with us this morning. Are you ready for our lightning round question series?
I'm ready as I'm gonna be.
Awesome. We'll start with our first question. What is the new normal looking like for you in your sector of work?
So the new normal, we left school on March 12th for a long weekend, and haven't been back since. So the new normal quickly became something different than any school had ever done, probably in the last 100 years. Like I said, we sent kids home, we didn't come back, and we were quickly faced with not only educational problems, but um, the social problems that we also solve on a daily basis. The first one that came to light was, how are we going to feed the kids that depend on us 5 days a week for 2 meals? So to solve that problem, our cafeteria people quickly sprung into action. We prepared the meals. We figured out a way to have them not only picked up at two locations, which would be Appalachian Elementary and Owego Elementary, but how we could deliver meals to people who couldn't get to those locations. So we've been doing that now since the middle of March when this whole thing took off. So that became one of our biggest projects. The other new normal that the district had to take on was, how are we going to educate kids? We have to reach every kid, even the reluctant learners that don't want to be reached. So it had to start as, let's make this fun, let's make this engaging. Let's just start by trying to reach them and have some, video chats so they get to see their buddies, they get to do some fun things, and then we'll worry about the actual learning aspect of it later. So we kind of worked our way through that, and starting last week, we got into the new material for the first time. And I think it's been a great success. So the new norm went from being able to see kids every day to not being able to see kids for the last month and a half. And we've done a really nice job. I mean, we found some things out that we were, really good at, and we found some things out that needed work, and everything kind of got ironed out. So here we are.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
Sure.
I'd like to know how you yourself are personally doing self-care during this time.
Well, there's a couple of things that I figured out pretty quickly. Like I needed a routine because bad habits come pretty easily and they're really hard to break. And we know that through the coalition. So I try to create just a routine that I did every day. I would get up in the morning, I would do the work I had to do for school. I would try to fit exercise in. I would try to, shop for nutritional things so I didn't have junk food laying around, because we all know when we pass the dish of cookies, they're going to be gone very quickly if we don't get rid of them altogether. So I try to create a routine, and in my life, just outside of work, I have other people I'm responsible for. I have a 15-year-old daughter. I have two aging parents who are not local, so they're both 86 years old. So I have to make sure they're also remotely taken care of. And my work life kind of never stops. I was in charge of food distribution. We still have the daily operation of the school, even though no one's there. How are things going to be disinfected? How are we going to get masks for people to wear while we're handing out food? How are we going to reach kids? So that whole thing keeps rolling. So I've, had a routine. It's going pretty well. We're to the point right now where it's getting very old, but it's going to be over with. And as I always tell my 15-year-old daughter, you have to look for the positive. If you live to be 100, you may never see another situation like this. So enjoy the time you have with your family, enjoy the downtime, and just try to get through it the best you can. It will come to an end eventually.
Yeah, for sure. I think you make some really good points there. Like staying with a routine is so important, but then
Right.
also just the old like comparison of putting your oxygen mask on first. And you said, taking care of yourself so that you can then take care of your daughter and your older parents, and also like the whole Owego-Apalachin school community as well.
Right. Sure.
What's one good thing that you have seen, or inspiring thing that you have seen? It can be in your work world, in your personal life, but what's something good or inspiring that you've seen during this time?
Well, I've been in education for about 30 years in many different roles, including building principal, and I've always told people, when we were kind of down on our country and our world, people are inherently good. And when you have an emergency, nothing comes to light more than understanding that people, when needed, will spring into action. And in this situation, we found heroes in places that people didn't realize there was heroes. It wasn't the professional athletes or the millionaires. It was the next door neighbor. It was the lunch lady. It was the nurse. It was all those regular everyday people who, when faced with, a necessity, sprung into action and were the heroes in the situation. When everyone went home, our lunch people had to continually go back to work and make the food for the kids to be delivered. And then we needed bus drivers to deliver the food. And we needed the computer and tech people to make sure we had a connection to all these kids who may not have had a connection. So I just saw regular everyday people become heroes in short order. So I found that to be heartwarming, enlightening. And I think as we move forward in the world, the people that took the schools and the hospitals and the garbage men and all those things for granted are going to realize those people are the important ones in our world, not just the professional athletes and the people we see on television.
Yeah, I love that message, Joe, and it's so true. And I think that in doing these interviews, that's the sort of thing that I've heard over and over again. It's like the little things that have kept people going, the little inspiring things, the next door neighbor, the teacher, the school staff. That has really been what has inspired people and kept people recognizing that there's a positive and a good in all of this, and it hopefully it is that people are inherently good, and when push comes to shove, we kind of collectively gather together and try to make the best out of something. I think that that's such an important thing to remember.
Sure, our food distribution, just to add a little more, our food distribution, I mean, the cafeteria staff makes it, but we've done an all volunteer distribution where I do Sign Up Genius and I put it out to the entire Owego-Apalachin faculty and staff to show up at the Apalachin site and the Owego site and distribute food. And those slots are filled within literally 7 to 10 minutes, and people just can't wait to volunteer their time. So it's really a cool thing to see.
Wow, that's so cool. I love hearing that. What is a message that, if you could say anything that you want others to hear right now on this platform to the, Tioga County and Owego community, what would you like people to know?
I think it's important that people realize this is going to be over with. This is not our new norm. Life has certainly changed for us. So we're going to have to make accommodations, but this isn't going to be permanent. You're going to get to hug people again. You're going to get to see people again. So you just have to ride it out and make the best of it. The easiest thing to do during a time like this is to get through it by adopting bad habits. I'll turn to alcohol, I'll turn to drugs, I'll turn to these things. It may take the edge off today, but it's not going to take the edge off tomorrow. You're going to have a permanent problem. So you need to hang in there. Use the people around you as a positive force. Be the positive force for people around you. I think if we stop worrying about ourselves for a minute and find out there's people that are worse off than us, it makes things a little bit better. So this will be over with. Hang in there. We'll be back in no time.
And finally, we have to ask this question.
All right.
Why is being a part of the coalition so important to you?
So as an educator, I'm old enough where I've seen things not only turn over, but new things come into the picture. Years ago, kids were either, you smoked cigarettes or you didn't. That's something you would do or you wouldn't do it. They're kind of disgusting. The smell is obnoxious, all that stuff. I look at things like vaping that kids are faced with right now. It became a designer habit. And I watched it happen before our very eyes. And the kids who might not have smoked a cigarette are now enticed with things like a vape. They smell like fruit. They're not detectable. Kids are led to believe they're safe. They're marketed for that teenage group. And before you know it, we have a problem. So just as a person who cares about kids and who does this for a living, I think it's important that we switch from a model of trying to scare kids out of these things to a model of education. Why shouldn't you do this? How do we use kids as leaders to help their peers? How do we make them understand this stuff is not a joke and it is dangerous? So I think the coalition, brings that front and center to school districts and in a community like Tioga County where, it's small, but it's powerful. And we need to send a message that this stuff is not okay as much as it's enticing and it looks like the cool thing to do. So I think the coalition's an awesome thing for not only kids, but adults, and, the whole community benefits from it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
I'd like to take a minute to thank you for being our school sector representative. You brought great things to the table this year and helped us formulate plans to move forward and helped us build our strategic plan. We've had many Owego-Apalachin School District students be involved in the coalition this year and helping us make commercials. And you guys hosted our Youth Leadership Summit. So I just want to say thank you to you and to Owego-Apalachin School District for being an awesome school partner this year and for taking the time to join us for this interview this morning.
Absolutely. Anything we can do to help. I mean, we're here for the kids. So,
Thanks so much, Joe.
okay.
Take
Have a good day.
care. You too.
Bye-bye.